But as Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, the kind of things that we do in this warfare are not what we normally think of. 2 Corinthians 10, verses 3 through 5. For though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. Right? It's a battle for minds. It's a battle for hearts. We fight against ideologies, not specific people. We fight against ideologies. We do not use physical weapons. So what are the weapons in our warfare? Right? Going back to the whole armor of God. It's righteousness. It's peace. It's truth. It's faith. It's the Word of God. It's prayer. It's salvation. How do we use those How do we use those weapons? We use them as we serve people. So our service, whether as a part of our careers or a part of our just general, work with the church, work in communities, it's spiritual warfare. It's a radical stand against the spiritual forces of wickedness in our contemporary time. To be loving, patient, kind. And it is these types of weapons that are powerful weapons that will have a significant impact in winning the war we find ourselves in. And so, while we will sometimes lose sight of these things, we have to continue to remind ourselves and remind each other that the way to win this battle that we are engaged in is through the weapons that God provides, not the weapons of the world. And in this service, whether we're talking about our jobs, whether we're talking about community work, whatever type of facet we're talking about when it comes to Christian service, we should always be pursuing excellence. Now, what do I mean? I mean that there's some character traits that we need to exhibit in our service. These come from a book called Excellence by a theologian named Andreas Kostenberger. His focus is on biblical scholarship. All right, and so if you pick up the book, that's what the book is focused on. But I want to take some of his principles and apply it in the context of service, because I think a lot of what he says is valuable for a different context, not just scholarship. And so one of the things he points out in pursuit of excellence is exhibiting diligence. To be diligent is to do what is needed to be done and focus on it and complete it and finish that task. There's so much that draws us away from and distracts us from completing our tasks. When it comes to Christian service, we need to be diligent about doing our service, not putting it off for another time, not doing it in a haphazard manner, not doing it partly, but diligently paying attention to what needs to be done and doing it. Not putting it off, not procrastinating, but looking for the opportunity to serve and to serve, diligently. Courage is another component we should strive for excellence in. Taking the stand when we need to. Speaking up when we need to. Going perhaps where other people won't go. Our service should demonstrate courage. True Christian service is at some point going to call for courage. Doing the things nobody else will do. Speaking up when nobody else will speak up. Saying the things that the world needs to hear, even if it's not a favorable position. Passion is another thing we should pursue excellence in. There's a lot of things to be passionate in this world about. And we can be a very, very passionate people about all sorts of things. But if we're going to be excellent and exhibit excellence and passion, we need to be passionate about the right things in the right way. What are those things that really get us moved, that we're passionate about? Excellence and passion should be in those things that God is passionate about. Reaching the lost, healing the hurting, mending the broken, extending the borders of the kingdom, educating people to know more about God. These are the kind of things we need to be passionate about and strive for excellence in that passion, to be passionate in the right ways, in the right time, to the right level. On the other hand, of course, we have to sometimes exhibit restraint, whether that's in the context of self-discipline, whether that's in not saying some things that we might want to say. You know, we want to retaliate against somebody, or we want to do something that would be hurtful. Excellence in service demands that we exhibit restraint. Not restraint in concern for people, not restraint in the love that we have for lost humanity, but restraint in, certain situations we have to step back. We have to, maybe not say what our hearts want to say, or maybe we have to be careful to not enable, right? We're trying to help somebody out of a situation, but we know if I do this, this is going to enable a bad result. So I don't want to do that, so I'm going to back away from that. Maybe excellence in creativity might be something that would be important for a specific situation. We talked about this earlier. God is presented at the very beginning of the Bible as a creator and asks us to be creators as well. So are we creating? Particularly, are we creating in ways that bring about redemption? Are we creative people in our jobs, in our public service, in our service to the church? Are we creating? It's very easy to be destructive. It's very hard sometimes to be creative. And as we're being creative in our service, is that creativity blessing the lives of others, enriching the lives of others? It is these kind of things that gain ground in the battle against spiritual forces of wickedness. We should strive for excellence in eloquence. Now, that doesn't mean we have to study rhetoric and be able to speak in very posh types of ways that demonstrate our erudition with the English language. But we should strive to eloquently present the message. We talked about in a previous session about service. Our Christian service must have the message of Christ connected with it. Well, striving for knowing that message, presenting that message, finding a way to communicate with people. This is something that we should strive for and develop if we're going to be excellent in service. Integrity. Very, very important that we be people of integrity. Yes, we all fail. Yes, we are not going to be perfect. But it should be an ideal we are striving for, that we are people of service. And as people of service, we are dependable. We are people of integrity. We are people who are faithful. Right? We're loyal. We can be trusted. We are committed to serving and the people we're serving. We should also strive for excellence in wisdom. Praying to God for wisdom. How do I serve best? What are more ways that I can serve? What are additional ways I can serve? What are some opportunities that I might not be seeing? How do I act in those opportunities? And I should be striving for wisdom. What are some insights I might gain from other people who've walked this path before me? Striving for wisdom. And above all, excellence in grace. This world has enough expressions of people needing to earn their value, people being cut down and broken. It's time for more grace. Certainly the grace of God, but then also the grace that we as human beings extend because of the grace of God to others. It is these kind of character traits, along with all of those that we talked about in the previous session. We must see these more than just developing into a good person, but in a larger context, it is these kind of things that win the battles in this spiritual warfare we're engaged in. And so all that we've been talking about in this course, now we must take that information, live lives that are founded on biblical principles, are shaped by the Christian narrative, recognize the power of culture in history for good and for ill, that seek to be people of a certain type of character, not just to get the good job, not just to have people say good things about you, not just to say, well, I can also pad my resume by being involved in a variety of community service projects, but to be a part of God's redemptive purpose of transforming this world through spiritual warfare. Recognizing we are in a battle, that God has ultimately won, and we participate in the expansion of that victory. That what we have here is something larger than just ourselves, and that our impact is going to be felt in larger types of ways.